Hello, everyone, and welcome to Travel Insights with Veterans and Visionaries, brought to you by The Dome. Through Travel Insights, we delve deep into the psyche of individuals who have been part of the travel industry and who have witnessed the evolution and the growth of the travel industry over the years. And along with that, their experiences and the challenges and changes that they have faced in building their businesses. Today, we have with us Jal Shah, Group Managing Director of Travel Designer Group, and also the founder of ResLive, the award-winning global reservation system. Jal started in the travel industry in the year 1999, yes, that in the previous century, and since then has worked his way up. And in 2007 is when he came out with his technology platform, which is ResLive. With more than 20 years of experience in the travel industry, he has grown the Travel Designer Group into a multi-dimensional company and leads a host of businesses and a team of over 250 multilingual people in the Middle East and Asia Pacific. Incidentally, Jal is based in Dubai. His experience spans business planning, market development, strategic planning, financial planning, and I guess the entire gamut of things which an entrepreneur and a founder of such a large technology platform needs to do. Under his leadership, Travel Designer Group has been consistent in providing exceptional performance, overcoming challenges, and exploiting new technology to create new pathways to growth for the agents who utilize the platform. Today, it is an enterprise with a global reach and is a known powerhouse in the travel industry. So welcome, Jal. It's a pleasure to have you here with us today.
Thank you, Amish.
So I hope all good in Dubai and you're comfortable.
Yeah, things have been very kind here compared to what we read and see and know about India. So, yeah, on that front, I think I've been blessed that, I'm in here in Dubai. I live here since 7-8 years. So, this is pretty much a home as much as India.
Right. So now tell me, Jal, 1999 is when you started. You must have been maybe just out of your teens at that point of time. So since then to now, what has been your journey in the industry, and how have you seen the industry evolve in terms of trends, consumer behavior, the needs and preferences of the travel industry by itself? What is it that you have seen change and evolve over these last 20 years?
Right. So, plenty of changes, as you know it better than me. Industry in whole, and I think industry in India has gone through multi-dimensional changes over the years, right? So I think my career in travel was pretty much a natural move because I was born in travel and saw my father doing this business. And I think everything around what I kind of grew up was with travel, people coming in, right? I hail from Ahmedabad, so developing state that time, very important tourism state. And my father was pretty active, joined the states very early. So had a tremendous respect around people. And those days, even now, travel trade is pretty well connected, right? People work with hands in hands, people learn, and those days it was different, just to get even an IATA would be a large challenge, right? Way back in 96, 98, 2000. And when we got ours also, we knew that how it was, how function it was. People used to come for inspection, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So pretty interesting phases in terms of what I learned. While doing graduation, I started actively getting into the business because, we saw that, the new millennium is going to change and bring a lot of new stuff on table. India started getting connected well in terms of airlines coming in, and, airport like Ahmedabad suddenly became active with direct flights to Gulf and stuff, right? So we wanted to ride that wave and kind of do some customized leisure holidays. So my father's traditional background was wholesale business, and he sold airline consolidation in various capacities. So he always had this connect with B2B business, and we thought we will leverage that network and try and come up with products which are not very well known to Indian market. And that's where the story of selling Dubai kind of came into the thought process, where, 2000 pretty early days, first few years of Dubai Shopping Festival, and that's about it, right? Dubai was known more as a Sharjah and a cricket, as UAE as a country, and then Dubai probably as a destination started evolving. And we were lucky that we picked that queue up first, and then started doing packaging business, which was mainly restricted to Western and slightly more Eastern India. And we saw that if we want to grow this scale to a global scale, and while during this process of 4-5 years, we realized that a lot of demands have started coming for hotels. and people really want to only book hotels, and we know that OTAs were playing a very important role selling tickets. So people were buying tickets and then they wanted only hotel. So we thought how we can get in and capitalize in this game, and that's where the entire idea of ResLife came, and that's what we kind of build our company on now.
So let's talk a little bit more about ResLife.
Right.
As most in the industry know, it's a very good platform. It's really a very good platform, no doubt about it. But considering the changing trends in the industry, how has ResLife innovated and expanded in terms of the technology and in terms of tie-ups with accommodation suppliers, with DMCs, etc.? And how have you been able to understand and work towards the needs of the travel agents who really look at ResLife as their platform?
I think we came up with this simple concept where we say that we wanted to present ourselves, which is our foundation, as a very friendly company. So when we say friendly is transparent, very user approachable, try and work with them, and that has been our process of building ResLife as well. And at the same time, we wanted to keep it very unified and universal. So what happened in this journey as we expanded in Asia and Middle East, all these feedback kind of started coming into the business, which made this product more simplified and more acceptable. So we didn't have to do much but listen to our customers very carefully, and then kind of monitor those trends which were coming in. So we knew that coming to Middle East as an example was people booking same day and while during a day, and you may have a reservation after check-in hours, which is not very normal for India for international reservation, because this is more connected and all. So then we had to connect our ability to accommodate those changes. So every business challenges which became some sort of an element into the system, and we started solving those problems and started creating this product, which is still stays simple and looks same everywhere wherever we work in this 18-20 countries.
But when you started, I mean, there were big names in the similar field, like international names like Expedia or something. So how
Right.
were you able to position yourself, sell yourself, market your platform to the industries?
So I think, one thing I learned from Indian market is how you approach and how rooted the Indian market is, right? So reach is something in India which is still very challenging, still 12, 14 years, and going through every trade shows and having salespeople across India, we still get surprised with a new travel agent and opportunity which comes. And as we further talk, I'm sure we'll talk about what are the new times and how it may change. We have some views about that also. But during this time, what we saw is that India is such a diversified market where East and South and West and North has a complete different calendar buying pattern. So
Yes.
for an international competitor, plus not to forget our Indian compliance business, which is taxation, PAN cards, GSTs and all, which makes it so complicated for any international level company to come in, right? And as Indian, we are demanding, right? So who understands Indian better than Indian? And that's why our journey was slightly simpler than those names who were trying to approach Indian market and who were there in this business better. And what we did also is that we worked through these people who could be competitor or who were existingly available in the market, and those were from international domain. They saw us as a tool which can spread their reach, and that's why they started relying on people like us to increase their business in India.
So, I mean, also apart from that, I'm sure you did a lot of legwork in terms of getting hotels and tour operators, etc., to come on board. So, I mean, how did you approach that? Did you approach it on a global level, or did you start off with maybe Indian companies and just Middle Eastern companies? How did you go about that whole process?
So I think for first few years of our business, it was pure aggregation where we were buying from existing available consolidator, distributing it simply in a unified format and selling it. And as we started producing numbers and we started having more clarity on what could be brought direct and still being sold by increasing revenues and giving better service, that was our main focus. And it's the same approach of user acceptance where we started looking at the data, started looking at the trend, and started contracting those hotels. And by the time, I think with God's grace, the branding and goodwill was established where a lot of opportunities came by itself, and we don't have to go and approach them.
So on the demand side, you of course were listening to each of the users and adapting to that and adopting and making changes to that. And on the supply side, you were concentrating on the aggregation. But on the technology side, what were you doing? I mean, considering that technology is something which keeps changing, do you have a large technology team in-house which is working on the platform on a continuous basis, an ongoing basis?
Yeah, indeed. I mean, tech is something every one of us in leadership spends time to keep ourselves in line with. So that starts with a lot of reading, looking at what is happening in the market. And because now community sharing and platform in general as technology has become so transparent and accessible, you learn a lot by looking at a lot of things which is happening either at a global scale or at some different industry as well, right? So I think the best inspiration what we see is not looking at something from travel, but try to look at changes. And all of us in India witnessed some huge changes from our online e-commerce buying, from groceries to mobile wallets, to those lot of destruction and changes which came. That itself is an inspiration and learning, where you adopt what they build, you look at what they do, and try and embed those in your ecosystem on how you can kind of make it work for you.
So now coming to new trends, you did mention that you would discuss new trends with us. So one of the new things which is spoken about a lot in terms of technology and is almost a catchword is artificial intelligence or AI. So to what extent are you adopting AI and bringing it into your technology platform?
So, I mean, for us, artificial intelligence started way early, where we started looking at a lot of data. And, those data which were there for a number of years, and those tons of data were not very organized. So, about 4 years before, we started having a couple of data scientists and BAs, which started presenting it on, a normal format. So in a layman, we started using a lot of Excel, started putting those data, and then started building certain logics over the system. So for us, artificial intelligence is more to increase conversion, also to forecast certain demands. For us also, it gives us some statistic on how our customer service has been. And obviously for when it comes to, looking at payment gateway and digital channels, how we can use artificial intelligence to kind of drive more traction, where we do, discounting and stuff based on to, generating more revenue. So, we run certain programs in India which are unique. So, we have Res Reward, which we always wanted to do. This is a B2B reward program, which is done for travel agent partner across. We've been running it for 4 years now. So that's something which came up from artificial intelligence, where, we had this data and metrics where we knew that, extending more loyalty and rewarding people who work with you will give you more traction moving forward, and that's a good way of retaining certain customer side. So that was put in. Then we realized from our artificial intelligence and data finding is how we can drive more cash business, which is digital and fintech sort of cash business. And that's where we introduced something called ResLive Vault, which is not wallet, but it's a vault where you park your money, and depending upon channel you put in your money, we reward you. So again, something learning from fintech pieces like PhonePe, Paytm, and a lot of us, where people started having, where you make a commitment, and if you do larger deposits, you get instant transparent discount, which is added to your account instantly. So it was not raising some tickets after you make payment, stuff like that. And these are all findings of how you analyze data, right? So that's going to be very important now, because Amish bhai, I think what we see is we still don't know what will be the trend from India, right? Way back, we forecasted that the trend could be a lot of domestic travel, but sadly that did not happen because of our own state compliances and rules and whatever India is going through. So for us, our forecast was somewhere around July. We thought that, we should start to see some domestic movement, that domestic movement will further get strong as we move towards, our traditional honeymoon and winter Indian business. And it's natural for people to have, because we have a lot of festivity in India in the second part of our calendar year, right? And July, August, September onwards, we start to see a lot of festival, a lot of small holidays, and all of us kind of had those calendars because we ran our campaign for Independence Day weekend, and we saw all those small weekends coming in, but nothing materialized, because again, it's not that people don't want to travel, but that sense of clarity, comfort, confidence is something halting people probably to travel. So I think trends in India will be interesting. Other trends in terms of international market, what we've been observing are quite interesting. So domestic tourism, as we know, in UAE started a lot of staycation drive. We thought it will last for a month, but that kind of continued over 2.5 months now. And people still want to do multi-year staycation, which is very interesting when you look at the season here, which is hot. And we are not at a peak season for Dubai, I mean, in terms of inbound, and still 45, 42, kind of very hot. But people want to get out. So that shows you mindset that, travel is not something which is gone out of people, because for a lot of people it's lifestyle, celebrations, unwinding, right? And all of us have done something like this in our travel as well. Being from travel industry, our travel meaning could be different, but all of us have touched upon this sometime, be it special occasion, celebrating anniversary stuff. So I think we will see that traction coming in India. How and when is a big question, I think, which I don't think so I'm in a position to answer, because every day is changing, right? Some airport on, some airport off. Difficult.
Now, something specific. The IPL is now coming to the UAE, as we all know. So how are you gearing up for that?
We started hearing IPL buzz much before it started coming to India, because I think there were offline talks which were going on. Some hotels were approached. We were surprised. Somebody from Southern India wrote to us about a very prominent team looking for some accommodation pre-IPL, and till that time they wanted to bring that players early and certain night bowlers and stuff like that. So, I mean, we looked at it as a joke because there was nothing in Indian market, and we knew UAE could be one potential option, but again, how it works and what sort of a modality they'll put in. But things started moving fairly fast, and as I see, a lot of hotels have made their accommodation choices book. Prominent Indian couple of hotels which we have in Dubai have majority of teams, and we started preparing ourselves for IPL. So started looking at the hotels which are near stadium, because one of the most important changes, if we want to do a package where spectators are going to be allowed, that's what we learn. Nothing again very official, and what you read in media 30-40%. My bet is that there will be spectators, because we are seeing some concerts happening here. There have been a couple of exhibitions which has happened here, and there is de-socializing here in terms of you see bars, shops, restaurant, malls, everything open. So having a specified 6 hours, 5 hours match with spectator is no difference, and if you can limit the audience, it will work. So I'm sure for India this is going to be a next big lead in terms of travel, and a lot of hope from Indian travel industry is around it, because Dubai is accessible, it's under bubble, visa is something you get it on a paper. A lot of people have already traveled, and the city has confidence now in terms of be it low rise of cases. They've done brilliant marketing. Whatever we have seen, all stakeholders like airline and all doing wonderful work to promote the city. So yeah, I think IPL will be interesting once the schedule comes in and we know which teams are going to play where, because I believe they're going to use 3 grounds, and Abu Dhabi, Sharjah and Dubai will be used, so there could be some home and away, so some teams could be based here and there. So once we have more clarity, I think we'll be able to tailorize a product suiting to there, where you only sell accommodation nearby and then you sell it with ticket, or just with a drop and pick up pre-post matches. So that should be some good way, and I think that's where all of us will have to work to put this product, because that's going to be, I think, some start for an Indian outbound in this current scenario.
So now coming to the COVID-19 situation, the effect, of course, has been a lot less in the UAE. But this is, after all, the traditional holiday season in the UAE. And a lot of people travel out from UAE to different parts of the world, which, of course, is not possible now. So are you seeing some kind of a latent demand from within the UAE, where people are looking at vacations to travel within the UAE, like maybe to an Al-Ain or a Ras Al Khaimah or an Abu Dhabi?
Yeah, so we saw first those staycation, which is, started with Emiratis and local, and then we saw residents also, because a lot of people like me now, it's difficult to come to India with quarantine rule and all. And obviously it's a vacation time for me, so my kid is home, and we did some staycations here. So that's where it all started, where you say that, it's a weekend, and we again have a weekend coming in with the Hijri New Year. So we have Friday, Saturday and Sunday. This weekend itself is a slightly larger weekend, and we have already started seeing some traction. So our hope here is that, UAE has tourism across the year, because it's all dominated by a lot of corporate travel movement, because there are a lot of global corporates who keep this country as their home. There are a lot of compulsive travel within GCC, and as GCC becomes more open, be it oil and gas, engineering and other stuff, so we'll see those travel starting. And the leisure may have a season somewhere around December, where school may have to give another break, because we're still not sure how this entire schooling thing will work. So expat may go back to their country whenever they get opportunity, because they've been away for 8-10 months or 6 months in general. So that may not result in a travel, because we used to have a strong expat travel here to places like Azerbaijan, Georgia, because as a UAE resident, you had visa on arrival there. And the flagship carriers like Air Arabia, Fly Dubai were offering a lot of flights at a good rate from here. So I think that tourism may go, but next summer could be interesting if the calendar year, which is a schooling calendar year, able to adjust these changes, then we may have a slightly longer summer, which is 3 months. So, then UAE can compensate of a loss of season or a business year, because we will get a large, longer summer next year, where, these people will travel to Europe and the usual outbound, which is a long stay.
On a more macro level, looking at the COVID-19 effects, how do you think travelers will change in terms of their individual preferences and their individual requirements? And how would a platform like ResLive be able to address those needs and requirements of the travelers?
So I think a lot of travelers, Amish bhai, will be now more certain on what they want, right? So we are not going to see somebody walking into a shop or writing an email or calling a travel agent saying, give me Maldives and Bali and Mauritius and I don't know what, right? So now traveler themselves will research and decide where exactly they want to go. So that's going to be a trend number one, I think. Second trend, what we see is the vacations will be slightly longer, because you travel after a long time and obviously there are a lot of other compliances which you have to meet. So I think an average travel duration, especially from market like India, will be slightly longer than what it used to be. People will be very certain about social distancing and they want to know. So at ResLive, what we did was we got in touch with chains, populated data from them on what are their hygiene and safety protocol, populated that, and it's displayed against each hotel now, where people know that how they are doing, be it, it's a contactless check-in, or how they are sterilizing their rooms, and whether the buffet is open or not, or breakfast is going to be served in room because they've closed buffet. So we started generating this data, and each reservation which happens, these are verified by manual call, because we have a call center which do post-sale and reconfirmation and other transactional work. They have started reaching out to the hotel, trying to get those information which we now put in and keep on updating it constantly.
And these protocols are visible when one is making a booking on ResLive?
Yeah, you will be able to see that. It comes on your voucher also, and at the time of booking also, there is a tab where you click. It's tab called Safety and Hygiene, and we tried to unify this data so that it's not confusing. So it's been bulleted in 6-7 points and displayed there.
Another part of the current travel trends, and probably a major part of it, is the millennial traveler and the trends related to their travel. So have you at ResLive been able to create some kind of technology, information availability, which would help agents address the needs and the requirements of the millennial traveler?
So I think millennial traveler, again, Amish bhai, I think they again also will be very certain on what they want to do. So their special interest travel could be, more free and easy, where they want to do accommodation only and alternative accommodation, and then they want to explore cities on their own. So for us, we thought starting this March is that, we have to have those content which is vacation rental, apartments which are available via aggregation now, which are user-owned apartments given, like something in a line of Airbnb. So we started putting that, and now there are filters for you to filter them, which makes it easier for them. So we also started accommodating family, where you have a classification of hotel, whether it's a leisure friendly or a corporate friendly. And we started building some special popular filters where you can filter room types by private pool, balcony, club facility, terrace, kitchenette. Mm-hmm. This can be done either at a hotel level or at a destination.
So that's a great feature, because it's very, very necessary nowadays, especially with the way people are now going to plan their travel going ahead. So obviously you are constantly evolving and adjusting the technology based on the requirements of the market. But in terms of the requirements of the travel agents who are your customers, are you giving them some kind of a white label solution which they can combine with their website so that it looks like a B2C solution for their customers?
Yeah, about a year and a half before, we came up with a product called Affiliate. So it's a self-white label product. What it also does is that it also solves payment solution for travel agents. So, you could have a permanent affiliate, which could be a corporate or a regular traveler, or from your ResLive login, you do a search and create an affiliate link which goes from your email address to that customer. And on clicking that link, he will be able to log in on a domain which has your logo, and they will be able to go through all the listing and make the payments which will come to us, and we will pass on commissions to our travel agent. So that's been working well. It's a forward distribution, forward thinking solution which we came up. Initially, it had an idea of corporate bookers more in mind, but I think with this trend and where we will see that there will be a lot of home agents now, when people trying to do consultancy work because of unfortunate job losses we had in industry in general. I think this will work as a good solution for them to attract their retail and regular customers without able to do a lot of compliance work, which is office and legal registration and taxation and other stuff. So they could kind of work as a sub-affiliate and forward distribute this product to their client. So that should be very interesting way once Indian market starts to see how we see this working.
All of us are pretty optimistic that travel will commence, maybe not in the next couple of months, but certainly by the end of this year, we should see some quality travel start.
Yeah, yes.
So now, Jal, before we end, any parting comments, any parting views that you have, which you would like to share with our viewers?
So I think what I see, and when I connected with people, our partners and clients, so first obviously I wanted to see all of them in good health, right? It's a tough time for us in industry in general, something all of us never would have thought, dreamed or dared, and I don't think so we should be able to see this again. So I think
hope not.
God helps us to end it once for all, and it should end at good. But I think this is a time for travel industry to kind of hang in ourselves and work together. Tough time. I don't see very good opportunities from government trying to help us and bail us. But I think the internal ecosystem and the principle of how this travel industry was built, especially in India where a lot of brotherhood was there, I think we'll all have to kind of work with each other, and then the time will be good.
Great. Thank you so much, Jal. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Pleasure is mine.
We'll obviously get together sometime in the future once this COVID is behind us. And till then, please take care. And for our viewers, we hope you enjoyed the show today. And if you did, please don't forget to click on like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, stay safe and take care. Thank you.